What's up there, peeps? How's it going? Today we're going to talk about internet addiction. And before you click off and think, oh, whatever, I'm not addicted, the fact that you're here shows that you use the internet. Now, if you're like me, you probably use it for what you consider to be reasonable and educational things. In other words, a lot of us who use the internet a lot think, well, I'm always researching and learning, and it's just like reading a newspaper. My wife and I, for example, in the morning looking at the news to see what's going on. This is true to an extent, but for some reason we feel collectively guilty about how much time we spend on our computers and phones, and mostly phones. It's become so absurd that I can't deny it anymore that everyone is looking down at their device. But as to whether that's a good or bad thing, we'll just leave that for another discussion. First off, I wanted to say, I grew up in the 80s and I went through the transition from analog to digital. I learned to use a compass, yet now we've got compasses on our phones. It's one of those things where the kids of today don't, it's kind of like the kids of my day had a calculator, and people of the past didn't. They still wanted you to learn how to do longhand division, and we still went through the regular schooling in arithmetic, but times are different today, and people expect instant information. They want info right away, and therefore Google is more than happy to provide that for them. I hope that the gun range down here isn't too distracting. You'll hear these little pop, pop, pop. It's pretty annoying to me. I didn't realize it until years after I moved in, just what it was. It's like, what are they doing construction over there? Oh no, those are guns. But anyhow, the internet problem in the past used to be confined to kids. In other words, they would say, oh well, the kids watch too much TV, or the kids play too many video games. And it's finally now come full circle to where even the elderly have been watching too much TV and playing too much, or watching too much YouTube, playing on Facebook. It's really hard not to scroll through things. Everyone is affected by internet addiction. And it's because the internet has been here for a while. And this is the thing I've noticed, even since 98 or so when I really got online, I've noticed that things have changed in the sense that many of the sites in the past were informative, but they weren't designed to be addictive. It depended on the person. But the dopamine rush people get from likes, everything is carefully catered to get people addicted. Applications are designed to get you addicted. And many people think they have free apps and, oh, I'll just download this free app and, hey man, I'll just give it the permissions it needs. And so what I want to talk about, first off, some of the easy solutions that we can, minimize the amount of distractions we have are things like, for me it was, delete Facebook. And I think deleting Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all those is a wonderful start. Because honestly, I hear a lot of excuses about why people have them. To keep in touch with friends and family. Because there's certain people I can't contact otherwise. And I think I use that excuse too, and I think we all know deep down inside that it's bullshit. That, yes, there are people we could keep contact with on Facebook, but we use it for a hell of a lot more than that. You don't often keep in contact with your distant cousins or friends you met in China or whatever it might be. We have phones and text messages which can do very similar. There are a few people who are an exception, and if you can use it reasonably, even when I was using Facebook, I was trying to use it maybe less than a half hour a day. There are people who spend 6-8 hours a day just feeding into the threads and scrolling. So anyway, I want to try to get across all the points that I want to get across about this problem, but there's just so much to talk about. What I've found is turning off your notifications is one of the best things you can do. That means actually taking the time to go into the settings on your YouTube account, your Facebook account, whatever you have, and turn off all notifications other than if you choose to go and look at your messages or comments. Turn off that bell notification. It's funny because all YouTubers are like, yeah, hit that bell, click that bell. I've never said that because I don't want people to get notified every time I upload a video. I want you to be able to go to YouTube and look at your subscriptions, and if you choose to watch it, then watch it. And that's the world we're living in now. It's all about instant notifications. Who's texting? Who's commenting? If you get a message or a beep on your phone every single time somebody leaves a comment on Facebook, that's a huge issue. That's a major distraction. I mean, we all know that's true. And so I'm just trying to, because I'm addicted too. Everybody's addicted to their phones, It's hard not to look at all the information and all this stuff at our fingertips. But it breaks our flow state. It distracts us from our work. And there have been plenty of studies to show that, when your flow state is broken by anything, it takes 10 to 15 minutes to get really back into that flow state. So maybe you can turn your phone off, but if it's on vibrate, you're still going to feel it. It's still going to distract you. I'm known to just leave my phone just sitting somewhere in the house, or even leave it at home sometimes, because even though it's convenient to have, how often have I really needed my phone? Desperately needed it in an emergency and not had it. And, everybody's far too dependent on technology, in my opinion. But, so anyway, another thing besides not clicking the bell would be muting replies. If you have a thread, at a point, just mute the replies. You don't need to hear every single comment. And I'm not trying to preach here. I'm saying these are things that will ease our pain. We don't need to know, because every single time somebody posts something negative and you read it, it just makes you feel shitty, and why feed into that? And maybe it's a positive thing, but even then it's still distracting. So there's also the FOMO issue, which is the fear of missing out. And a lot of folks are well aware of that one. It's the idea that if you're not paying attention at every moment, you're going to miss something. And I stepped back and looked at that rationally. I said, go back through my whole life. Has there been one news article, ad, or comment, or anything that if I didn't hear it right then I would have been totally screwed, and it would have been disastrous? And I can't think of anything. I mean, sure, people could say, well, in my local news, I like to see what's going on. Maybe there's criminals, maybe there's a recall on lettuce, whatever it might be. But generally, if you go read through the news once a day, you're fine. You can get all the info you need. But we continue to scroll and look and look and look. Why? Why do we care what people ate? And this is why Facebook to me was just absurd, because it wasn't just the people, it was the fact that Facebook became an advertising platform. At that point, I was gone. A multi-billion-dollar organization saying, oh, well, we need money to run our company. And I just think, it's the internet, It doesn't take much to run a website. It just depends on how responsible you are. If you have tens of millions of people watching your site to make sure it's done properly, then yeah, that costs money. But unfortunately, Facebook has been shown to be horrible at managing their own site. Beyond horrible, but what else is there? There's a loss aversion strategy that's used in applications. One of them that's used is this idea of streaks. I think I heard about this. I think it's Instagram or Snapchat, but you get these streaks of how often you post, or posting about the same subject, whatever it might be. They use many different tactics and tricks to keep you reeled in and make sure you want to post every day. And even if you read the YouTube creator things, it's like, create regularly, and all that's important, of course. But it's really a matter of getting you sucked into their site, because eyes on a site is money for the site. So I don't really know how to deal with this, because they are created this way on purpose, the apps and the websites. And one of the interesting aspects is that the tech firms, more often than not, refuse to be interviewed. I've seen several shows talking about this, and they say, well, we reached out to Facebook, we reached out to Snapchat, Instagram, all these different, tech firms, which are supposed to be these Silicon Valley giants, these liberal, easygoing people. No, not the minute you want to interview them and ask them what they think about their own site, because they know that they're manipulative. And I think that that's one of the saddest things, especially with Google, the way they manipulate their search results to favor their own sites, their own maps. It's getting out of control, and I don't know what to do about it, but we've all heard about the Cambridge Analytica scandal with Facebook selling your info, so it's not like it's something that's just speculative or conspiratorial. These are things that have been admitted to and have been proven. Your information, your likes, your comments have been sold to giant companies to sell you bullshit. How do you feel about that? You know? And I think it's kind of scary because a lot of people don't seem to care. That's scary to me. We give up our data for free. No, I hate to refer to 1984. I was just telling my 10-year-old son about this. It's like Orwell's 1984, which was written in 1948, I believe, was, a dystopian future where we are forced to give up our data and information to the government. But it's so funny because we've willingly done it to the tech giants, which in turn basically can be turned over to the government, and it's the same thing. But we willingly scrolled through, didn't read any of the permissions or information, and just go ahead, sign on. And the interesting thing is they have billions of dollars to spend on fines and fees. Sure, you hear that, they got fined $50 million or even $1 billion. That's barely a dent in these people's bottom lines, considering all the money they make on ads. And do we break up big tech? That's a question I'm not even going to discuss here, because there's always a workaround for them. If you make them break up, they will just distribute into smaller companies, hire the people to buy these companies, and they will continue to own them. It's just the way it works. There's always a workaround. So I don't think that's a solution. And one of the worst parts is not that they violate our privacy, but they've been, fined, hundreds of millions of dollars for invading children's privacy by taking information about your kids. Now think about it. If your kid's on YouTube, they know what families are at what address, at what what websites, what everybody visits. They can send you ads through something you Googled on one phone to your wife's phone, your husband's phone, your kids. Send the kids toys that they're looking at or the shows they're watching, send you ads for their toys. Does this make people comfortable to know that, we're being advertised to properly for once? No, I don't know. I think that privacy is much more essential. But the question here is we should get to is what can we do? And that's the solution part. Everybody likes to complain. The first thing we can do is if you have to use apps, first off, I don't download any app for free, especially if I don't know much about it. Reviews mean nothing to me. If there's a lot of reviews, and they're obviously by people, then sure. You want to read PC Magazine reviews, things like that, everything is biased, and you have to be careful. If something is free, ask yourself why it's free. Maybe there's ads in it, that's fine. But if there's no ads and it's free, and you're just downloading maybe a sound creating application, and it's asking for access to your microphone, your camera, your contacts, your messages, all this, you just hit yes. You're basically giving a third-party application access to your entire phone. They can go in, they can see who you're texting, what you're texting. It's pretty crazy. There's a CBC Marketplace. I love that show. It's a Canadian one. I wish we had one like that in the US, but we have Inside Edition and a couple other ones. And I think it's Rob Wolchak from, that does this Hall of Shame thing where he catches people who are ripping people off. But CBC in Canada does a really good job on it. And they've done ones about, anyway, I don't want to get into that, but the permissions in applications are absurd. They can get into your phone through their computer if you give them permission to. So don't download an app unless you need it. And turn off, your phone has its own settings for application settings, where you can turn off access to various parts for each application on Android. And I don't use Apple. I don't know what their deal is, but I'm sure it's similar, I would hope. But delete unused applications, ones that you don't use anymore. I mean, there's no point in having them just on your phone if you're curious to what they may be doing in the background. But these are all just small things. Sign out of websites, even like Facebook. Now, I've heard that Facebook still tracks you even when you're signed out. Don't know the circumstance or how far that extends, but I would say at least try to sign out of Facebook when you leave, if you have to use Facebook. Use a virtual private network if you need it, VPN. I think it's something I, at this point, just haven't bothered with. I don't know enough about computers. I guess if I was a computer geek, I'd probably have all this shit set up in place. But Or use incognito mode when searching for certain things, especially if you're looking for tickets or buying tickets to something, airline tickets or something. Open two browsers and do one search, one in private and one on your browser, and see what the price differences are, because they can be extreme. And you can get a better deal if you're a different person, because ads are catered price-wise to hagglers or to people who spend a lot. And there was another CBC show about that, which was pretty good. Transfer, this is one of my personal ones, but transfer all of your pics, videos, all your documents, private info off of your phone that you create on your phone onto a separate card regularly. Now I have an Android, so I have a little plug that plugs into my, it's just a little USB plug with the thing on the end that takes in, not an SD card, but a USB stick, which, like a 30 gig stick, I plug it in there and transfer my files to it every month or so. And then delete, I move them from there off of my phone. And for what it's worth, there's a lot that can be learned about you by people who want to get your info. And like I said, it depends on how much you care. I don't care that much. I have a YouTube channel where I unload my thoughts to the world. I've pretty much given my info away already. Everything I think and feel, to the world. So it's pointless for me to really hide anything, but I still try to keep a lot of my own private pictures and whatnot private. Even on my computer, I keep them on an external hard drive, unplugged from my computer. Because your computer can be hacked remotely. A lot of different things can happen. I do all my banking, if I have to, on the home computer, home PC, and not my phone, just in case I lose my phone or something. Because I don't know, I've been bad about that in the past, but when it comes to buying things, and this is the advertising part of it, first off, know what you need. And never buy on a whim. Never see an ad that seems like it's the best deal you can get, whether you're in the store or online. Sleep on it for a night. If it's something you don't really imperatively need that moment, sleep on it and think about it. 9 times out of 10, you'll find you just didn't need it. There are a lot of tricks and tactics that even I fall for when I know that they're being played at me. It's really hard not to. Oh, buy 2 get 1 free, or limit 4 per customer. Oh shoot, better get them now. And those are the games that are played. But know that every like and vote and thumbs up or thumbs down that you give on any website or any YouTube video or any Facebook post, you are sharing information. That's giving away information about what you like and don't like, and that's fine. People just need to know that. And clear your cookies and your history all the time. Cookies will hang on, and if you go to one website that has cookies that are, that have nefarious tendencies, they might follow you around to all the websites you go to and get a lot more information than you want to. Cookies can be useful for going back onto websites, especially in the past when pages had to reload, but these days it really doesn't matter. I see no reason to keep cookies on your computer at all, or history. I mean, you can leave password entries, and a lot of people don't even do that, or know. Never open an email link from somebody you don't know. I'm guilty of I don't open ones from even people I do know. If people send me links to things, I'm very worried about it, because I know that accounts get hacked and bad links are sent, and that's how I keep my computer as protected as I can. Be careful when signing up for free stuff, because free is always attached to something. And my last thought on it is research everything. No matter what you hear on the internet, no matter what you hear on any social media site, remember that everyone's biased. Everyone's trying to sell you something. It's the tobacco syndrome. The companies will lie their asses off to make you think you need something you don't. But also there's a lot of alternative science trying to sell you random stupid pendants and bullshit and new age, harmonic resonance bracelets, and it's one of the most annoying things to see so many people trying to get your money, but not doing it in a way that's saying, hey, I have a product. If you need it, here it is, you can try it. It's like, you need this, you're forced to have this, you have to have this. Oh, if you take this other product, it'll harm you. Lying and conniving and scamming to make bucks and that's the world we live in. And unfortunately, those companies are advertising and sponsored by companies like Facebook, and they willingly stuck their head in the toilet. So be aware. Just be careful. That's all I wanted to say. Just give my advice on how to avoid the problems of being followed and harassed by advertisements. This isn't going to solve the problem, of course. And I really didn't get into how to avoid internet addiction. You know why? Because that's a personal choice. That's the last thing. It has to come from limiting your use. Scan the headlines once. Go out and do something. I've found that if I get up and turn on music, it can really change my day. It can go from being a day where I watch a few shows and I'm just distracted to being a day where I'm productive, getting things done early and feeling good about myself. And even when I'm making a video, I feel like I should be doing something else. So I guess I better finish this video up. Hopefully I covered everything. And you all are addicted to internet if you watch this all the way through. And shame on you for watching this video. I'm kidding. It's funny because we all have to know our limits, is what it is. And like I said, in the morning, if you're reading the news, trying to figure out what's going on in the world, that's not the same as flipping and scrolling through Facebook. 25% of people admitted getting their news from Facebook, and if you're one of them, shame on you. In other words, if you do get your news only from Facebook, then you shouldn't speak on the stage of the world. You shouldn't even have conversations about politics, because there are so many other outlets and angles that don't obscure and censor certain discussions, but those are getting harder to find too. Anyway, let me know what you think. Talk to y'all later. Be well, and have a wonderful Saturday, just October 12th, 2019. Be well.